All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our Aquarium Online Academy today. My name is Allie. I'm an educator here at the Aquarium of the Pacific in Long Beach, California. I hope you guys are having an awesome morning because we are going to be learning a little bit about something really cool, something called a habitat. And we're going to look at a couple examples as well. So I do want to invite you to participate with us. If you have any questions or would like to share your favorite thing we're talking about, or any comments you would like to share, definitely text us. This number is right below here. It's 562-286 1838. My friend Emily is over at the computer ready to take your text messages. But if you are watching this when we're not live and you have questions, well, that's okay too, but we are going to have you email us instead. And that email is right below here as well. That's live@lbaop.org. My friend Stewie is right behind the computer here, ready to change all of the cool things you see behind me. Now, let's go ahead and dive in. So, what exactly is a habitat? Have you heard that word before? Habitat? Yes, well, it's a place where an animal lives. So, different examples of habitats. Can you think of any maybe on land? Any examples of a habitat? Maybe the desert, maybe the rainforest. How about in the ocean? Are there habitats in the ocean? Well, the ocean is a habitat, but is the ocean the same everywhere you go? Not really. So we're going to look at two different habitats today in the ocean. One of them that's right actually off of our coast here in Southern California, and one of them that's a little farther away in some warmer tropical water. So our very first things that we are going to do is look at the one that's right off of our coast here. Now, it's actually right behind me, right here. This is our blue cavern exhibit at the Aquarium of the Pacific. Now, this is live, so you can watch it anytime you'd like on our website or explore.org. This is live. It's modeled after a real dive site just out a few miles off of our coast called Blue Cavern. And this is what we call a kelp forest habitat. What do you notice? Well, I noticed some fish swimming around. Oh, there's actually a fish even just resting. Do you see that one right there? It's kind of hiding. I notice big rocks. I notice all of this stuff right here. What is this? Yeah, seaweed or kelp. So again, this is the kelp forest. Now, out in the ocean, there might be more kelp than this. But again, this is in here in the aquarium in our exhibit. Oh, there's a fish swimming right by the camera here. So we do have a little less kelp so you can actually see what's inside of here. But if we were to go diving in a real kelp forest, it'd look a little more like this. So what exactly is kelp? What do you notice? To me, it kind of looks like a plant. Yeah? Yeah, it kind of looks like a plant. And sometimes we do call them plants of the sea, but it is actually an algae. Now, algae, believe it or not, is a little bit different from a plant. Now, the first thing that's different about them is they don't have roots. So algae and kelp just don't have roots that anchor them to the bottom and in the soil. However, they do have a holdfast. It kind of looks like roots on top, but it just kind of anchors to the bottom of the ocean floor on rocks. So they don't have those roots that absorb all the nutrients like plants do. And this kelp in here also has something else, a really cool adaptation. Now, it needs the sun. It needs the sun just like plants, and it does photosynthesis. So it does turn carbon dioxide into oxygen. But in order to get all the way up to the surface in the water column, it has little tiny bubbles on it. So I actually have some fake kelp here, or artificial kelp, if we can look at this. So this beautiful kelp right here. So this is, my microphone, there's a little bit there. So this is kind of what a holdfast looks like. It kind of looks like roots a little bit, but it really just anchors the kelp to the bottom of the ocean floor. And then this kelp extends on up to the sunlight. So kelp can actually grow about 2 feet a day. 2 feet a day. That would be crazy. If, say, we were to grow like that, that would be crazy. So how do they keep going all the way to the surface? Well, have you ever been walking on the beach and you maybe picked up some kelp and maybe there was a little squishy part that kind of popped a little bit? Yeah, these little air bubbles here, these are called nematocysts, and they are filled with air in order to have the kelp go all the way up to the surface and all the way over and create a canopy. Now, this is an excellent habitat for a variety of animals, just again, living here off of our coast, because it provides nice protection. It provides food. It provides a nursery for some little tiny animals. It's also great because we can see some animals hiding in it, even some really big ones. Actually, let's go back to our blue cavern exhibit and see if we can see any really big animals hiding in there. So it's a great habitat for a variety of animals. And again, it's right off of our coast here. So give us just 1 second to pull that on up. So what animals do you see in here? I see this right here. What is that? Shark, yes. Now that is a leopard shark. So we do have leopard sharks off of our coast here. They're only about this big, so they don't get super, super big like sometimes we think of sharks. But oftentimes you'll see them resting on the bottom. So if you put on this webcam sometimes they'll be laying right on the ocean sand. And that's because this kind of shark doesn't have to swim in order to breathe. If you look behind their eyes, you look really nice and close, they have sphericals. They have little holes in the side of their head that help them to breathe while they're resting. I kind of think of it like a nose on the side of their head that connects right to their gills. They're able to rest without being able to swim while they breathe. Now, what else do you see in here? Oh, there's a fish. We actually have some really big fish in here. Of course, they're hiding right now. But there are some really, really big fish in here. Let's go ahead and pull up a picture of them. Let's see if these fish look familiar to you. Does this look familiar? This is called a giant sea bass. Now, giant is definitely what they are. These fish can get up to 5 feet long and about 500 pounds. Really, really, really big fish. And they actually live in the kelp forest. Now, a lot of times in the kelp forest, we'll see them kind of down, kind of blending in near the bottom of the kelp forest. And what do you think they're trying to blend in with? Do you remember what else was on the bottom of that exhibit? Yeah, those big rocks. This kind of looks like a big rock. If you were just kind of swimming, didn't really notice it, might look like a big rock. It even has all of these spots on here to help them to camouflage. So you might notice, oh, there's one. There we go. Perfect. There's one of our giant sea bass. In here, we do have 3. So keep your eyes out and see if you can see all of them. But they are what we call an ambush predator. So, oh my goodness. There's 2 of them right here. Oh, that was awesome. Perfect timing. I think James planned that. Awesome. They came right on by. So these giant sea bass are ambush predators, which means that they wait near the bottom of the ocean and they wait for something to pass them. And when they see something that looks really yummy passing them, they're really still and they go, oh, and they reach out and they grab that. So you'll actually see that oftentimes here when we're doing feeds for this habitat. Our divers will come on in and we will hand feed these animals, but their mouth is so big it kind of just suctions the food right on up. Now, a really amazing animal in this habitat that we can't quite see because they're pretty small is something that lives near the bottom. And it's kind of circular, spherical, and it has spikes all over it. Any idea what I might be talking about? You've probably touched one if you've been here to the Aquarium of the Pacific before. That is this animal right here. Is this what you're thinking of? Yeah, a sea urchin. This is a purple sea urchin. That is actually what they're called. I know sometimes we call them just what it is, purple sea urchin. And what is it on? Yep, it is on a blade of kelp. Now for kelp, we don't call them leaves, even though they look like leaves. We call these blades. And urchins, their favorite food is kelp. Now, does it look like these are really good swimmers, these urchins? Not really. So what they do is they walk along the bottom of the ocean floor and they love to eat kelp. Now you saw how much kelp was in the ocean. So these urchins are going like crazy eating that kelp. They have teeth, believe it or not. So if you were to take this urchin and flip it like this, I actually have an urchin skeleton or an urchin test with me. So this is exactly what we're looking at. So this, again, urchin skeleton just doesn't have any of those spines. And down below here, this is what would be facing the bottom, same as this area right here. And they have 5 teeth in a circle. 5 teeth, and they're called Aristotle's lantern. And they walk along the bottom and they munch on kelp. Now they can eat so much kelp that if there's too many sea urchins, what do you think might happen? I mean, today we're talking about the importance of habitats. Well, if we have too many urchins eating all the kelp, what do you think happens to that habitat? Yeah, there might not be any more kelp left. And that does happen. So we, sorry, I saw a couple of questions coming in. I got a little distracted there. So if we don't keep our urchins populations under control, we might run out of kelp in that habitat. Now, I'm going to take a moment to answer a couple of questions while we look at this beautiful exhibit right behind us. Concha. Hi, Concha. Thanks for joining us again. Does kelp start growing from seeds like my basil plant? That's a great question. Most algae reproduces asexually, but some they can produce from spores. So little spores settle and they form male and female. So they're not quite like seeds. They're what's called spores instead. But other algae can reproduce asexually as well. Yeah, that's what Emily was saying over here. That's what's cool about algae. They do so many cool things. They can reproduce in lots of different ways, but it's not quite your basil plant. So it's not like we take a little seed and plant it in the soil and kind of wait for it to grow. That's a really, really great question. Now, one way we keep this algae, keep it in our habitat and keep those urchins under control is actually from a really important animal that lives in the kelp forest. Now this animal is very cute, very, very cute, looks very playful, very soft, maybe a little fuzzy. Oh, it's this right here. What do you see this is? This is a sea otter. Yes. So this is a southern sea otter. And sea otters, they live in the kelp forest. And they love to eat sea urchins. Now this one right here, this is eating a little piece of clam. So they will also eat other things. But one of the most favorite things on the menu for a sea otter is a sea urchin. Now what they do is they take a deep breath and they go all the way down to the bottom of the kelp forest and they pick up those spiny, spiky balls and bring them on up to the surface. Now, does a sea urchin look like something you really want to bite into? Not really, huh? So what they do is they take another hard object like a shell or a rock and they go bang, 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 and they crack it open and eat all the good stuff inside. Now, because they love to feed on urchins, they keep a nice healthy population of urchins on the bottom, which means we don't have too many, but we have enough because the otters still have lots for food, and then the urchins also don't eat all of the kelp. So let's see. What if we didn't have any otters? Could that be a problem? Yeah, maybe too many urchins. Or what if we didn't have any urchins? Maybe there would be too much kelp. Maybe there would be too much seaweed. So that's why in a habitat, in an ecosystem, everything really does rely on each other. There is a balance. And otters in this habitat are what we call a keystone species, which means that they really do keep that whole habitat together. Oh, are there multiple kinds of kelp? Kelp like there are multiple kinds of plants. Yeah, there are about 30 different species of kelp. That's a really great question. Now, a lot of times we have giant kelp off of our coast here, or like what's in our exhibits, although it's artificial. But yes, there are about 30 different species of kelp. Great question. Now, let's pause for a minute and let's play a little bit of a game. Are you ready? All right, so what we're going to do is we are going to be putting up little squares all over, and it's going to try to reveal to you a picture. All right, and I want you to use your observational skills and look and see if you can find any clues to tell you what animal that is. Let's see if we can figure it out together. Again, it's going to stop partway through, so we won't be revealed the whole thing at one time. And again, feel free to text on in. Again, our number is 562-286-1838. We love to hear from you. All right, are you ready? All right, let's check out our game here. Oh, we got a clue already. We know it's gray. Oh, okay. All right, so that was a really good clue. First off, it says gray right across the front here. So we know this animal has grayish coloration. Clue number one. I'll give you another clue. It does live in the habitat that we were just looking at. What else do you notice? I notice looks like maybe some fins. Yeah, looks like some fins. Oh, there's one there. But it also looks like they have spots all over them. Any idea what this might be? Something that has fins, lives in a kelp forest, and is kind of gray with spots. Any ideas? All right, let's go ahead and see if we can reveal a little bit more of our puzzle here. Oh, it's our leopard shark. Is that what you guessed? Leopard shark? Yes, just like that one we saw swimming not too long ago. This is a leopard shark. So, leopard shark, where do you think they get their name from? All of this awesome pattern and coloration all over their body. Now, otters are not the only ones who eat sea urchins. Actually, these will eat sea urchins as well. So their mouth, kind of see, is just on the bottom here. Do you see that? So it's not really in front of them, which means that since it's underneath, pretty good indicator that they eat things on the bottom. And they don't have super, super sharp teeth and really big pointy triangle teeth. They have smaller teeth that help them to kind of grind up harder things. So they actually eat sea urchins as well. So there's quite a few things that help keep those sea urchin populations under control. All right, but we looked at a really cool habitat. We looked at this kelp forest. We saw what kelp was, some animals within it. I think it's time to compare it to another habitat, because as we talked about, not all habitats are the same, are they? So let's go ahead and kind of go a little across the world to a more tropical place like this. Now, what is this? Does this look familiar to anyone? Oh, it looks like coral. It is a coral reef habitat. Now, coral reefs live in a much, much, much warmer water than like our kelp forest. Our kelp forest is pretty chilly, just like the water off our coast here in Southern California, whereas this exhibit behind me is modeled more after somewhere like Palau in the tropics. So what do you notice about this habitat? What's different from this habitat from our kelp forest? Well, I notice that the fish look a little smaller to me. Do you see that too? They look a little bit smaller. Looks a little more shallow. Yeah, a little more shallow. How about colors? I see more bright colors in here than I did in the kelp forest habitat. Like this orange and the pink. And there was a yellow one that went right on by just a few moments ago. So there's more colors in this habitat. Are there any similarities between this habitat and the kelp forest? Well, it kind of looks like there might be some stuff that kind of looks like plants, kind of looks like kelp. But actually, all of this stuff right here, even though it's kind of moving, kind of looks like a plant, or maybe it kind of looks like a rock, believe it or not, coral, all of this right here, is an animal. Yes, coral is an animal. So this coral reef you see here, all of these kind of looks like branches, or maybe it looks like kind of like a bowl you might see here. This is all coral. Now in this habitat right behind me here, we have a little secret. This habitat is artificial coral. Now again, this is an exhibit right here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. It's not real coral because there's so much of it and it's so hard to maintain. So this exhibit, although it's artificial coral, does it look like our fish mind? Does it look like they even know? Maybe not. Who knows? But they definitely don't seem to mind. Oh, and Shinda says it's more colorful. It is, definitely. I love that observation. Definitely a lot more colors in this exhibit here than our kelp forest that we saw just a moment ago. Now, we talked about that coral is an animal. Okay, but what exactly does it look like? Well, let's go ahead and zoom in just a little bit to see what coral looks like if we were to look really, really close. Because from here, this kind of looks like big, kind of rocky structures. Let's go closer and look at the animal itself. So we'll give it just a moment to kind of zoom on in here. And we're going to look at the little squishy body inside of that hard skeleton. Now, corals are cousins of, get this, jellyfish or sea jellies and sea anemones. So they might look a little bit different. Oh, like this brain coral you see right here. Do you wonder why it's called brain coral? It looks like a brain, totally. Well, this right here is just one kind of coral. There's thousands of different kinds of coral. But if we zoomed in really, 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 really close, we would see this. What do you notice? Do they kind of look like little anemones? Yeah, they kind of look like little anemones. Or do they kind of look like little jellies that are upside down? So we kind of see a few similarities. Now, coral being an animal, they do have to eat. So they kind of eat in the same way as an anemone. They use these little tentacles and they stick them out into the water and try to grab little pieces of plankton floating on by. But that might not be enough for them. So they have something else too. They have a partner in crime ready to make food, and that is something called Zozenfeli. Zozenfeli. It's a very, very big word, but it's a little algae that lives inside of the coral that makes food for them. Now, do you remember how algae make food? Talked about this in our kelp forest. Yes, that's right. They use the sun. So they use photosynthesis to create food for the coral, the animal, if you will. And they have that nice calcium carbonate skeleton all over the coral just to make sure it is nice and safe. Oh, and then we have a couple more questions coming on in. Can fish survive in other habitats in the water? Oh, that's Reed from Mrs. Forsey's class. So can fish survive in other habitats in the water from maybe their own? Well, it depends. That's a really great question. Some fish are really great at adapting to other places. So some might, let's take a steelhead, for example. Steelheads are actually the same fish as rainbow trout. Rainbow trout live in rivers and streams, which is what kind of water? Is that salty water or fresh water like we drink? It's fresh water. But if they go out to the ocean where it's salty, they can survive and they actually change a little bit too. So it depends on the fish. There are some fish that can be, oh, here's a great picture. This is our rainbow trout right here. So this fish can live in both saltwater, one habitat, and freshwater, a different habitat. So that's a really, really great question from Reed there. Can they switch habitats? It does depend. So thank you for asking that. Whereas other animals in the ocean, well, maybe they're not fish, but maybe they switch habitats too. So let's take a whale, for instance. Have you heard the word migration? Yeah, it's when they go from one place to another. Well, here's a beautiful humpback whale tale. Humpback whales, they will live in really cold water where there's nice, yummy food, lots of krill to eat for part of the year. And then part of the year, they'll go to really warm water and a nice tropical setting. So they can be found in a couple different habitats as well. So that's a really great question. Oh, now question, we have also, do sea turtles live in coral reefs? Sea turtles can live in coral reefs. There are a few different kinds of sea turtles, and actually, we have one in that habitat we were looking at just a moment ago. We have a olive Ridley turtle. So we do have one swimming around in there. We also have one out at Shark Lagoon that might be a little easier to see. It's a little more open there. And there's some coral reef in there too. So we'll see if we can pull that up. But yes, turtles can live in coral reefs. That's a really great question. Now, how many types of corals are there? There are thousands of different kinds of coral. There are soft corals, hard corals. There are really big corals, really small corals. There are tons of different kinds of corals. Great question. And Concha, how do corals get different colors? Wow, that is such a really great observation that, hey, there's lots of different colors in our coral reef. So let's go ahead and look at that. Now corals, oh, here we go. Oh, we're finding that turtle there. Let's see, does anyone see it? Oh, here it is. He's taking a breath of air. So all of this coral right here, notice how colorful it is? Well, they get different colors from the different Zozenfeli. Remember that partner we talked about that they have inside of them. So they can be all different colors, but a lot of it comes from that Zozenfeli, that partner that they have inside of them to create food. And again, it's pretty awesome. This is an olive Ridley turtle. We also do have a green sea turtle here at the aquarium, but there's lots of different cool species of turtles you should definitely look at. Alrighty, so we talked a lot today about different habitats and how things are related within that habitat and how habitats, maybe they have some similarities, but sometimes they have some differences too. But we are going to wrap up for today. I hope you got your brain kind of thinking and investigating and seeing what other habitats are out there. But hopefully you had fun today. We will see you on Wednesday. We do have some more classes coming in a couple days. Hope to see you there. Thanks so much for joining us and have a great rest of your day.